Hi guys, and welcome back to Clean Eating Kitchen. I'm Carrie, and if you're new here, I like to share real food recipes that help you feel great. I have a master's degree in public health with a specialty in nutrition, and I like to show how I use a real food diet to help manage my symptoms of PCOS and autoimmune disease. All of my recipes are gluten-free and dairy-free, and I use unprocessed ingredients as much as possible. I want to give the short disclaimer that I'm not a nutritionist or a dietitian, but I really want to use this channel to share inspiration to help you on your health journey. I also want to say that while I'm really passionate about healthy eating, I think it's really important that you listen to your body and do what's best for you. There's definitely not one way of eating for everyone, but for me, following a gluten-free and dairy-free diet really helps manage my symptoms and reduce inflammation. All that said, let's jump into today's video where I'm sharing 3 healthy dessert recipes using chickpeas or chickpea flour. Yes, we're actually putting beans into desserts and they all taste amazing. We'll be making chickpea flour cookie dough, Aquafaba chocolate mousse, and chickpea chocolate chip banana bread. I've linked all of the recipes in the description box below. One of the reasons I love chickpeas is that they're super healthy and versatile. They're also called garbanzo beans, and they are a legume. So they're not technically paleo, but I find that I can digest them really easily. And you probably know chickpeas most commonly from making hummus, but we are putting them into chocolate dessert recipes today. You can always buy chickpeas in a can at the store, but it's really easy and budget friendly to cook them from scratch. The easiest way to cook chickpeas is to use the Instant Pot pressure cooker, and I almost never remember to soak my beans ahead of time, so today we're going to be using the quick soak method. The quick soak method for making beans involves cooking the chickpeas in water at high pressure for 2 minutes, and then rinsing and draining them and cooking them again with fresh water for 12 more minutes. Let the pressure come down naturally both times and your chickpeas should be cooked perfectly. As I mentioned, cooking chickpeas from scratch is really budget friendly as dried beans are a lot cheaper than canned beans and there's less waste. Many people believe that you can reduce any bloating from eating beans by soaking them ahead of time. It can also help to pressure cook beans because it will help reduce the amount of lectins in the legumes. So the first dessert recipe that we're making is my vegan chickpea cookie dough. This healthy recipe only takes about 10 minutes to make, and it's vegan and gluten-free, and it is so yummy. I've made a couple of cookie dough recipe videos before, but this is the first one that I've made using chickpeas. And this is a no-bake dessert recipe, so this is probably the easiest one that we're making today. You can use either canned chickpeas or pressure cooker chickpeas for this recipe. If you use the canned version, then you need to drain and rinse the beans using a fine mesh strainer. Place a bowl under the strainer to save the cooking liquid to use in our next recipe. Again, the liquid from cooked chickpeas is called Aquafaba, and we're going to use it to make a vegan mousse that is so light and fluffy. For the cookie dough, I just combined a can of chickpeas in a food processor along with peanut butter, maple syrup, vanilla, almond flour, and a pinch of sea salt and dairy-free chocolate chips. Turn the food processor on high until the texture resembles cookie dough. Be sure to check the description box for the link to the full recipe on my website, cleaneatingkitchen.com. Eat the cookie dough with a spoon and store any leftovers in the refrigerator. The next recipe that we're going to be making using chickpeas, we're actually going to be using the soaking liquid, which is called Aquafaba. If you're not familiar with it before, it is like a magical ingredient. Now, normally when you open a can of chickpeas or you cook them yourself, you would get rid of the soaking liquid. But this soaking liquid actually has some really amazing properties. It has a very similar consistency to egg whites. So rather than making a mousse recipe using egg whites, we're actually going to use this Aquafaba to make this Aquafaba chocolate mousse. For our vegan chocolate mousse recipe, we're going to start with a cup of dairy-free chocolate chips. Place the chips in a microwave-safe bowl and heat it in 20 to 30 second increments until it's melted and totally silky. Next, add half a cup of your Aquafaba to a chilled mixing bowl and beat it with a mixer until it's the texture of meringue. You'll be shocked how it transforms into a thick and fluffy consistency in just a few minutes. This was my first time using Aquafaba, and I can't believe that I haven't played with it before. Then add your melted chocolate in batches and whip it until it's combined. This recipe comes from one of my favorite blogs, A Saucy Kitchen, that has gluten-free recipes that are so great. I'll put a link to this Aquafaba chocolate mousse recipe in the description box below. Next, divide your chocolate mousse between several serving bowls and chill them until you're ready to eat your mousse. This recipe was so amazing. It tasted exactly like the regular chocolate mousse that I used to eat when I could tolerate eggs and dairy much better. And then the last recipe we're making is this chickpea flour chocolate chip banana bread, and it is so delicious. Chickpea flour is really high in protein, and so it is a super fun ingredient. To make this chickpea flour banana bread, spray a loaf pan with nonstick cooking spray and preheat your oven to 370 degrees Fahrenheit. Then mash up 3 ripe bananas in a bowl. The bananas will add moisture and natural sweetness to the bread. Then add the other wet ingredients, including maple syrup, 2 eggs, coconut oil, vanilla extract, and apple cider vinegar. Stir the ingredients until they're well combined, and then set the bowl aside. For the dry ingredients, we're starting with chickpea flour that I bought on Amazon. This is a protein-packed plant flour that has a neutral flavor. Add the chickpea flour to a bowl, and then add the rest of the dry ingredients, including baking soda, cinnamon, and salt. I'll put a link to this recipe in the description box below as well. It comes from a site called Ambitious Kitchen that I also love. Stir together the dry ingredients and then pour in the wet ingredients. Stir them together until they're well combined, and then add dairy-free chocolate chips. You may want to reserve some of the chocolate chips to sprinkle onto the top of the bread. Pour the batter into your loaf pan, add more chocolate chips, and bake for 35 minutes or so. Pretty soon your kitchen will smell so good, like warm, freshly baked banana bread. I really doubt that anybody will know that you use chickpea flour as the base of this recipe. You can let the bread cool a little bit before slicing it and enjoying it warm. As you can see, it's so moist and fluffy, and I really loved this recipe. I hope you enjoyed this video with 3 healthy recipes using chickpeas and chocolate. I definitely have a sweet tooth, so I usually enjoy some kind of healthy dessert at least 1 time a day. If you're like this too, you might want to check out my cinnamon sweet potato bread, which is also gluten-free. And then I also have a playlist of some of my favorite healthy gluten-free dessert recipes. Thank you so much, and I will see you in the next video. Bye, everybody.